Hi there, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies Open Dialogue. This is Thomas Manning. Today, I'm honored to be speaking with the immensely talented Kiki Layne, star of the new film Dandelion. Really a lovely drama and character study about wandering musicians who are searching for something, even if they don't fully know what that is. This is releasing in theaters on July 12th, and Dandelion is directed by Nicole Regal and features original music and lyrics from Bryce and Aaron Desner of The National. So thank you all again for watching and listening as we talk with Kiki Layne about Dandelion. I hope you enjoy. Yeah. Well, really excited to be chatting with you about Dandelion, and I'll get right to it. I want to talk about director Nicole Regal, and writer and director for this film. And for you, from your standpoint as an actor, what are some things that you noticed about Nicole's voice as a filmmaker that made her exactly the right person to capture this story and these characters?
I think one is that she poured so much of her voice into the script and like her own experience and of, the things that she's been through in her own artistic journey and, trying to, you know, create and do really awesome things in a very male dominated industry. And so I think she poured so much of that into the script and in doing so created space for Thomas and I to pour a lot of our own artistic journeys into, each scene. And she was just very receptive to what we brought to the table. She had a very clear vision of what she wanted, but she didn't over direct us in terms of how we got there. And she really like made space to receive what Thomas and I, what we were bringing and kind of let that, lead the way.
And as far as your personal relationship with music and creating music, how far back does that go for you? Was it there before or after you got into acting?
Uh, it's always been there, just like acting has always been there. When people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would always say a singer and an actress. But when I was 7, I auditioned for the performing arts school in Cincinnati, and I got into instrumental music and drama, but not vocal music. And so that was the first time that I was like, oh, maybe I should focus more on acting. And so it's just been a long, windy journey to kind of get back to the truth of singing and songwriting is also a big part of who I am as well.
And for some of the mechanical things, like we see in the opening of the film, repairing the guitar and changing the strings, is that something you knew how to do prior to coming onto this film, or did you have to learn to do that?
Oh, I definitely had to learn. I played flute and French horns. So if you want me to put a flute together blindfold, like I could do that. But like stringing a guitar, I had to like go to YouTube University and like the guitar teacher was helping out. It was pretty funny.
And as a musician and an actor, I imagine that you have moments in both contexts where everything falls into place, whether it's getting a great take on a film set where everything clicks, or maybe a great session in the recording studio where you're really pleased with everything that came together. So for you personally, how do those emotions compare across those different settings, whether it's on a film set or in the recording studio?
Maybe if anything, what would make it feel different is that in a recording studio, it's fewer people. Um, so I think that makes it a bit different. Different. I think the stakes are a bit higher on a set because there's so many people watching. So I think the feeling when you like crack something on set or like you did a really awesome take feels particularly good because there's like all of these people around you that like if you don't do a good job, everyone is here longer. So I think it makes it a little different.
And understand that you collaborated with Bryce and Aaron Desner in developing some of the music. So what were some of the specific elements of the music that you worked with directly for this film?
I think a big part of it was just bringing more of myself to it. We all had to have conversations, just acknowledging the truth that, of course, the Desners are incredibly talented and amazing at what they do, but they're two white men in their mid 40s, and now Dandelion is being played by a 30-year-old Black woman. And if this music is supposed to sound like it came out of her, then we had to acknowledge the disconnect and, you know, what might make sense musically for the Desners versus what might make sense musically and melodically, you know, coming out of this instrument. And so it just really became a collaboration, you know, with the Desners, Nicole, and also with Noah Harmon, who was hired to be our guitar teacher, but he was there on the ground really helping me to like figure out the songs, and then we could all, you know, come together and figure out like wanting to honor the truth of the Desner's artistry, Nicole's story, and this instrument. And it was quite a journey for all of us, but I think we made it happen.
And your chemistry with Thomas Doherty in this film is really unbelievable. Um, does it take some time for you to find chemistry like that with a screen partner, or is that something that you kind of recognize almost immediately?
I guess there must be something that must happen immediately. Like I like popped in my head was like my chemistry read with Stefan for If Beale Street Could Talk. Like I get like they have chemistry reads for a reason. We didn't have one, Thomas and I, but I think because both of us came into the project with such love of the project, and also both of us coming in honestly a little afraid because we were doing something so different than what we had done before. Like I'm sharing my singing voice for the first time, you know, Thomas is doing something a little less commercial. And I think us being able to have those types of conversations and just be that vulnerable with each other about what the film meant to us, I think from there, everything else just kind of like flourished of like, oh, okay, like we're in this together. We're both stepping out of our comfort zone together. And I think in that we were able to find like that safety and vulnerability with each other, that then the chemistry could just kind of like blossom from that.
And we also see how you use music to communicate with Thomas's character Casey, and that's kind of how you try to work through things both internally and externally. So is that something that you can relate to with the role of music in your own life as a means of communication, whether that be within yourself or with other people?
Oh, absolutely. Like music has always been a way for me to get things out, things that I was trying to make sense of, feelings or whatever. Like, you know, growing up, I forgot who I was just saying this to, like one of my friends. I'm like, one of my early songs, I could have only been like 10 or something, but I was more so writing about like my parents' marriage and just trying to make sense of things that I was seeing in their relationship. And like, I couldn't voice it necessarily, but I could put it into a song. And so I think music has always been that for me. And I think for a lot of songwriters, that's what music is. It's like, I can't just say it to you, but somehow in this, like in a song, I can get everything out that I'm feeling.
And there's a scene I really love that's around a campfire and
Mm.
a group of y'all having a conversation about music, whether it's pure artistic expression, but also this question of, does it matter how many people hear your music? Does it matter if anybody hears your music? Um, so for you, kind of reflecting on that conversation, where do you, what is your opinion on that personally? Do you think it matters if there are a lot of people that hear and connect with your music, or is it ultimately just an individual thing?
I think that, how do I want to say this? I guess I'll say it like this. Doing this film really, like, because we were sitting around asking those types of questions and all of these artists having those types of conversations, like I really had to ask myself those questions as well. And I think it really comes down to perspective. You know, especially right now in the business, you know, it's like, how many followers do you have? Like, how big was the house that you sold out? And like all of these things. But when I really think about when I first started dreaming of being a singer and an actor, what that looks like for me, I'm like, oh, I'm doing the thing. Like at that time, you know, social media and all of that stuff, it wasn't even a thing. It was just like, I want to be on set. I want to tell stories. And so if I think of it from that perspective, then I am doing it, then I am successful, then I am living my dream. And so I think for any artist, you really have to ask yourself, like, before all of the industry BS, before all of the influence and all of that, like, what was your dream? What did you see your career in life looking like? And then base it off of that very personal thing for you.
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned your dream because there's another great conversation that you have with Thomas. And there's a quote, something along the lines of chasing dreams is hard, and then it's hard to quit too. And, I think everyone in the world is chasing some kind of dream at various points in their lives, and those dreams change at different points. But what does what does chasing your dreams mean to you, whether that be personally or creatively? And I guess, yeah, what does that mean to you right now? And looking back a few years later, how has that evolved and changed with you?
Um, hmm. I mean, I guess when I first started, just like, I went to a performing arts school in Cincinnati from the time was I 7 when I started going to school for acting. I went to college for it and, made sure that I kept my grades up in high school so that I could afford to go to a nice college for it. So I think, chasing dreams for me has always come with like a certain work ethic. I never expected it to be easy or like handed to me. And I think that's the same energy that I keep, even though, yes, I've done these really incredible things that I'm super proud of, and I'm living so many of the dreams, that I've always, wanted to do. I know that there is still work to be done in a certain way that I have to continue to show up for my dream. And if I'm not doing that work, then I might as well give up because to me, they're kind of the same. Those are the same thing to me.
Well, Kiki, I really do appreciate your time today, and thanks for sharing everything about the film. I really loved everything about this, and hopefully we share more conversations in the future. And a big fan of your work always. And yeah, it's great speaking with you today.
Thank you so much.
Pictures up. Pictures up. Let's roll sound. Rolling. Rolling. Sound speed.
Hi, I'm Nikki Bliss Carroll, your host for Cleveland Connections, the show that explores what's happening at Cleveland Community College. Join us as we sit down with members of faculty and staff to discuss programs of study, upcoming events, and other exciting campus news. We'll have a new show for you each month on C19 TV, or you can stream us online at C19.TV. Tune in and connect with Cleveland Community College on Cleveland Connections.
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at C19.TV.
Education is our most powerful tool to improve and change our world. Hi, I'm Rhonda Benfield, your host for School Matters. Join me for a new program every other week with information from and about the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools. Discover what our schools are doing to challenge students and help them reach their full potential. You can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 or stream us live on C19.TV.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies Open Dialogue. Noel T. Manning II here, and joined by the multi-hyphenate Maria Howell. And Maria does not remember this, but several years ago when I was a college student at Gardner-Webb University in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, pretty close to Gastonia, I got a chance to hear you when I went to a convention for student activities. And I was blown away. And right here in my hand is an autographed CD from Maria Howell. It's time. So I just have to let you know I have held on to it all these years.
Oh my God. You probably have the only copy left. What's
But
crazy about it, that's many, many hairdos ago.
but I remember just being in love with your voice, and it just blew me away. And then being able to see you into in the world of acting, and you'd already done acting prior to this release as well. But I just had to let you know that we've met before, but it's been a few moons ago. But when I knew I had the opportunity to speak with you about your life and about this film, I have to get the CD. I have to get that
You got me.
CD.
You got me good. You got me good. You
I'm
took
so
me
glad.
way back.
Well, Maria, I do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And
Thank you.
you do have a film we're going to talk about, Summer Camp, that's got a lot of legends. But I'd love for our audience to get a chance to know who you are. You've been able to work on stage. You're an incredible vocalist, as I've already mentioned. You've been on television. You've done video game voice work. You've been on film. I'd love to find out where this love of performance came from. Where was that birthed in you?
To be honest with you, I always tell people my mom and dad were my first directors because they told me what to do all the time, and I listened and I followed directions well. But I'm the oldest of six kids, and so there was a very good sense of organization in our home. A lot of personalities. I just think it was just a natural segue. I don't remember any one particular person that influenced me outside of my mom, because my mom, she sang also, and she played trumpet, but never heard her play trumpet because she stopped before I was born. I have an uncle that used to play with Jimi Hendrix, so I think it was just in our family.
Yeah.
But nobody really pursued it the way I did.
Right.
They had the musical talents and gifts, guitars, pianos, drums, all kinds of things, artists, but nobody pursued it as a living, except for my uncle, who was a side man, not out front. So I don't know. I just think it was something that was, I knew it at age 6 what I would be doing.
Wow. And it seemed like it was just nurtured in you as well. It was encouraged. You said directed, but I think the encouraged part is a huge aspect of that as well. Do you remember the time that you realized that this was not just something you were going to pursue, but it was something that you were really, really decent at?
I was performing in Charlotte at Jonathan's Jazz Cellar 6 nights a week, and I think that's when I realized, oh, people pay me to do this, and I'm getting paid to learn, because I was green. And I think that's when I started realizing it, when people started coming back to hear us perform, and I was like, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the transition into acting, when did
Mhm.
that occur?
Well, interestingly, acting was my first job.
Okay.
In the movie The Color Purple, the original Color Purple, as I can say
Right.
right now. Yeah, but that, by me singing in that movie, that launched my singing career. And I didn't act for 5 years. And then I started getting into acting
Wow.
more. I started taking acting classes and music theory classes, because my degree from college is totally unrelated to what I do.
That's the case with many college graduates.
Right, right. Right. So I just worked hard. I did. I put in the work, and I still do. I don't ever quit. I consider myself an athlete, a vocal athlete, because I also teach middle school chorus, and so I try to instill and impart that you're an athlete. You got to treat your body right.
Yeah.
You got to work it out. You got to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we did not mention this, but you are a North Carolina native. Is that correct?
I am from Gastonia, North Carolina, the gateway to Charlotte.
I love it. I love it. And literally just across the county line from where I am in Cleveland County currently. So yeah, I wanted to make sure we mentioned that too. We love to share our North Carolina roots for sure.
Right.
So here's a Cleveland Gaston County question for you. Are you a fan of liver mush?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Look, liver mush and liver pudding. Okay. Boom, your turn.
There you go. There you go. And for those of you watching that are asking the question, what is it? Google it. Google it. Well,
So thank
your career it's kind of varied, as I mentioned, the entertainment spectrum.
you.
Is there one that you have found yourself now that you've been in this for a while that you feel the most comfort? Or is it from that athletic standpoint, is it like a decathlon where you're like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable in all of it?
I think I always felt strongest with singing. That was first. Acting came second. And of course, it was a natural segue to go into voiceover work because I was always using my voice. And I enjoy voiceover work. So I trained with that as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
So
if I had to say one, singing is the most natural.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
as you are pursuing the other areas, acting or voice work,
Mhm.
what is it that will draw you to a particular role or a part? Or is that
Mm.
something that's typically pitched to you now? How does that process look like for you?
Well, for me personally, at this stage of my life, I just choose to say no to a lot of projects that don't fit my core. And as I develop and grow spiritually, I just say no to a lot of things that I don't think I ever really did just anything earlier in my career, but I'm more focused and specific now of the types of things. And when working with these ladies I just finished working with, that was a no-brainer. So,
Well, let's transition into that. Let's transition into summer camp. So, uh, now, did you growing up? Did you go to summer camp at all? Do you have any actual memories of summer camp?
I do. I actually went to summer camp. I guess I was about 15, something like that. I can't remember. I had the best time of my life, and I met some kids there that I'm still friends with to this day. So it was a lovely experience. It was rough.
Yeah. Well, I grew up going to summer camp myself. I worked at Camp Walter Johnson in Denton, North Carolina, which was a Salvation Army camp for
Okay.
about 10 years. And so when I knew this film was coming out, I said, yeah, there are going to be connections because, as you said, there are people you meet at camp that can become these lifelong friends. And for me, it's that way. A couple of weeks ago, one of our mentors, who was a camp director at Camp Walter Johnson, passed away. And so we went to the memorial service, and it was
Mhm.
honestly a life celebration. And there were
Wow.
about 20 of us that worked on that camp staff together that came back.
Nice.
And those bonds are just so rich. And you see that in this movie. And so
Mm.
is that one of the things that not just the fact that you had this incredible Oscar caliber and Oscar winning talent connected to
Mhm.
it, but it was also those maybe connections of loving that community that brought you to this film?
Yeah. And it's really interesting that during filming, I found myself, bonding with a couple of the actresses, Beverly D'Angelo and Victoria Rowell. And Victoria Rowell and I actually celebrated our birthdays. Our birthdays are like a 1 day apart. And so we've been keeping in touch throughout the year since that movie was filmed. And it's just
Wow.
lovely. Just lovely, just to because Victoria Rowell, especially, was someone that I grew up. Well, I say grew up, but she's not that much older than me. But the point is, I used to see her on television all the time, and I've always admired her. My mom admired her, so having the opportunity to work with her was like
Yeah.
it was a dream come true.
What were there things you mentioned earlier, kind of that athletic mindset of
Mhm.
continuing to develop, continuing to strengthen, continuing to learn? What are the
Mhm.
things that you maybe learned about yourself with this particular project? Because you're continuing to develop that athletic skill of acting
Yeah.
and singing.
I learned that I can do my own stunts.
Okay, give me more, give me more.
I had never been whitewater rafting, any kind of rafting ever, because I'm not the strongest swimmer in the bunch. And when they said literally, I thought it was, I don't know what I was thinking it would be, but when they put us out there, I'm going, are you serious? Are you serious? And I couldn't back out. I couldn't back out. Um, so I learned how to raft, and that challenged me, and it gave me more confidence in knowing that if you can do it, you can do this. Don't be crazy, but you can do it. And so we did a great job, I have to say.
So the reactions that we're going to see are purely your reactions. They're real
They're very
reactions.
real. They're very real.
That's not acting. That's authenticity right there. So has that whitewater rafting experience maybe encouraged you to consider skydiving or
No,
anything else? No, no.
no, I'm good. I'm one of those people. If it's something I want to do, once is enough. I don't need to keep doing it over and over. I'm good. I don't
So
know. I may try it again in my life, but skydiving, no.
that's not going to be a regular occurrence for Maria Howell. Other things you want to make sure that you share about this particular project that you would love the audience to know.
I think the audience is going to absolutely love this movie, and you know, it's a star-studded cast and a couple of extra surprises in it. But I just think that it's the whole genre that I'm really loving. And I've already enjoyed watching movies like this. So being in one, it really warms my heart.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Well,
And
I really appreciate you taking time to be with us, Maria. This has been wonderful to catch up with you, and amazing to see you again and share this little piece of history again. And I
I
do
love
want to
it.
give you a final chance to also. I know you're involved in several charities and
Mhm.
organizations that mean something to you, and I'd
Yes.
love for you to be able to talk about any of those that you feel would
Thank you.
be worthwhile for our audience.
Thank you. The first charity I served on the board of directors, I'm now on the advisory board, is Students Without Mothers. And that's all about raising scholarships for high school seniors who don't have their mothers through whether it's incarceration, death, or what any other unfortunate circumstance. And we were just on the Kelly Clarkson show in May, so that was amazing. One other charity two others actually, I'm going to make them real quick, is the James M. Dixon Foundation, and we address issues and research about Alzheimer's and dementia. And the third one is Tosco Music. And you know, if it has to do with music, I'm in. So yeah, I serve on the advisory board of all three charities. Real proud of them.
Maria, thank you so much. It's wonderful to continue to follow your life and your work and just the beauty of what you bring to those that you surround yourself with. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Noel. I appreciate you.
Great to see you.
You too.
For 25 years, film fans have ventured to North Carolina to explore a wide range of international cinema and one of the longest-running festivals in the Carolinas, the Reel-to-Reel Film Fest. From July 24th through 27th, audiences will be able to screen 33 professional, student, and amateur films across categories like feature films, documentaries, shorts, and animation. Reel-to-Reel has featured international works since year one, and this year is no different. 4 continents and 8 countries have films that will be shown at this year's festival. And from a local standpoint, student films from Gardner-Webb University and the North Carolina School of the Arts will also be offered. The historic Joy Performance Center in Kings Mountain serves as the host for Reel-to-Reel. And this year, fans can check out screenings each evening at 7 p.m. and a Saturday matinee at 1 p.m. Again, dates for the 25th Annual Reel-to-Reel Film Fest are July 24th through 27th. And more information is available by contacting the Cleveland County Arts Council.
Films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.